Ginormous Teddy is headed for Nova Scotia. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Nasa with the latest on our very dangerous Hurricane Teddy, a hurricane that is not going to strike the United States, but it is going to affect the Canadian Maritimes, areas like Sable Island, Nova Scotia, and up there in Newfoundland. You guys are just going to get slammed from a very large system. Look at the shape of Teddy, obviously centered right here south of Nova Scotia. Look at how the cloud shield goes all the way into Vermont and New York, all the way past Newfoundland here, all the way up here, down, looping around, all the way down by the Caribbean. This is a ginormous storm, and that's the word the Hurricane Center used. You can obviously see with these fronts moving through the eastern U.S., it's going to have a mid-latitude trough. It's not going to hit the U.S., but look at this cooler and less favorable air just sucking into it. Teddy is going to quickly lose tropical characteristics. We also have Beta, which made landfall in Texas as a weak tropical storm. Thankfully, not too much heavy rain, but it is still a threat. And this system in the Pacific is Tropical Storm Lowell, and Lowell is not expected to become a hurricane. We're going to talk about all this, as well as Paulette over here, which has come back from the dead. Let's start with Teddy, since it's the biggest threat. As of 5 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, Hurricane Teddy was at 41.1 north, 64.2 west, winds of 90. It's moving north at 16 miles per hour, and we do have a tropical storm warning in effect for the south coast of Nova Scotia from Digby to Meat Cove, as well as areas of Newfoundland, a tropical storm watch from Meat Cove to Tidnish, Nova Scotia, north of Digby to Fort Lawrence, including areas near Quebec Islands and Prince Edward Island. Because remember, the system's going to jettison very quickly here over the next 48 hours right into areas of Newfoundland. Look at the size of Teddy. Look at this wind field. Tropical storm force winds extend out 540 miles from the center, and hurricane force winds extend out 125 miles. This is a huge tropical cyclone, and even when it loses its tropical characteristics, this is an extreme weather event pushing on up into Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. In fact, there was a buoy 90 miles north of the center over here that reported a wave height of 42 feet. That is a 42-foot wave. That's all going to be crashing ashore in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, not even tonight, really within the next 2 or 3 hours. So if you have areas along the coast that haven't prepared, you guys need to hunker down fast, because Teddy bears watching tonight. Here's the key messages for Hurricane Teddy as of 5 p.m. It is expected to transition to a powerful post-tropical cyclone as it moves near or over the Atlantic Canada late tonight and into Thursday. And again, the most significant hazard is going to be those waves. That 42-foot wave, that could cause some problems. Number 2, swells. Large swells, not just for Nova Scotia. Bermuda, where it missed narrowly, the Leeward Islands, the Greater Antilles, the Bahamas, the East Coast, dangerous surf and rip conditions. You do not want to go surfing off the East Coast with the tides from Teddy. It's going to be very dangerous. And number 3, tropical storm watches and warnings are in effect for portions of Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island, as well as heavy rainfall for Atlantic Canada over the next 2 days. So again, a very dangerous situation there. There's the satellite imagery. You can see it still has an eye feature, so it is still a hurricane, but it's quickly losing those characteristics. Look at this flow coming off the East Coast here. You can see that it's impossible for Teddy to hit the United States. So we dodged a bullet with this one. You can see very stable air out here, not favorable for development, sucking into our system. But that nevertheless is not going to affect it. It's going to slam into Nova Scotia tonight. Here's the radar out of Nova Scotia, and you can see if I put this into motion here, you can see the rainfall moving in. Not too bad yet, but Halifax, Sheet Harbor, you guys are right there in the line of attack. So if the center of Teddy hits, remember this is such a large storm that even far away from the center, you will have impact. So if you live in Nova Scotia tonight, be prepared for possible power outages, trees down, heavy rainfall, and the biggest threat, the surf and the waves crashing along the coastline there. Very dangerous. Beta is a tropical depression. It's at 29.0 north, 96.3 west. Winds are down to 30. It's moving east-northeast at 5. It took that track we talked about up, right, up, left, up, right. And now it's expected to just kind of dissipate by Friday as it moves into the Tennessee Valley. You can see right now the satellite imagery. Very good news to report there. We have almost no convection near the center whatsoever. There is some thunderstorm activity here south of Louisiana and some over here around Arkansas, but that's more in association with the troughiness moving off the East Coast in the next day or two. So Beta got left behind here as a naked project over Texas, and thankfully we didn't have a huge impact. Remember, it could have become a hurricane and made landfall. So a weak tropical storm that doesn't have a lot of moisture is a much better bet, especially considering we had Sally and Laura just within the last 6 weeks or so. Nevertheless, still some rainfall with this system. You can see areas from Texas to Louisiana. You guys could still see 4 to 6 inches, maybe 10, depending if you get caught in higher areas of rainfall. But right now, I think the general thinking is that the rain is just going to kind of move on off towards the east and not affect anybody much. So that'd be great news. You can see most of the heavy rain is away from the center. The center's here over the Texas coast. Some heavy storms, as I mentioned, off Louisiana and over Arkansas, but generally not too bad from Beta. Paulette, remember Hurricane Paulette with Renee back September 6th, September 7th? Took that track, ravaged Bermuda, and then it moved out to sea. We thought it was dead, right? We thought it was dead. Look at that track. Paulette fooled us all. She came back, meandered around the Azores, and is now, once again, a tropical storm sitting there with 40-mile-per-hour winds moving east at 12, should loop around again and dissipate by Friday, we think. But again, there's no question that there's always the potential that this loops around even more. So Paulette is a long-lived tropical cyclone, quite a track, as even off this map it moved up, struck Bermuda, moved up again, and then it kind of dawdled down here, and it has been around now for a couple of weeks. So, still dealing with Paulette. So that'll do it for the tropical update. This time you can see Teddy, a very powerful major hurricane, now down to a Category 1, but it will be striking Nova Scotia as either a hurricane or a post-tropical cyclone. But just because it's a post-tropical cyclone doesn't mean it doesn't have any clout. It's going to slam in with very high waves and gusty winds tonight. And you can see this is what's left of our naked Beta sitting over the Texas coastline. We're not going to have to deal with anything except the threat of potential rainfall, but even that looks skimpy right now on the satellite. Other than that, the Atlantic looks pretty quiet. We're looking quiet for the next week or so. There is a wave that left Africa. Some of the computer models want to drag this into the Caribbean and show hurricane activity around the first to second week of October. That's the time of year when we start looking to the Caribbean. Storms like Wilma, Iris, Michelle, Lenny, Michael, Matthew. Late September, early October. So again, we'll keep a close eye on the tropics because you never know. But right now we could have a bit of a lull after Teddy slams Nova Scotia and Beta gets out of here. So I'll keep an eye on the tropics. I'm Mike Naso. I will talk to you guys later.